put him in the garden, the first thing he told him to do was tend the ground. So the first thing he told him to do was work.
Okay, now, uh-oh.
So, and then but then that's getting into all the roles of a man.
First, he has to be a provider.
Right. He has to be a priest. He has to be like God. So then he has to be right. He has to work. So he has to be a provider. He has to be a leader. So then he told him to take care of the garden. So now he's a protector. He's in charge of the garden, and actually all the animals and everything he's in charge of. So he's also a protector. He's a manager. He's a provider. He's a priest at that point already. So, but when we're talking about Christ and the church, he's also we have to look and see what did Christ do what else Christ did for the church.
I think when you talk about God, let's go back to Eden, and the man is in the garden. God placed him there, so that's number one. God places you in a position to be in his presence.
Right.
That's how you learn how to be the priest. That's God is the one that's going to teach you, that's going to walk with you, that's going to let you understand what it means to be a priest in his presence. So as you get in the garden, you need as a husband, you need to be in his presence. How do you get to the presence of God?
Right.
How do you get to that place that you're around him? What do you do as a man?
Well,
I'm gonna ask you, what do you do as a man?
Well, what you first do, you have to study the Word of God. You have to read the Word of God. You have to develop your own relationship with God, and that's what when you do that, then you can lead in godly ways. Once you study His Word and you have a relationship, you can lead with godly ways instead of worldly ways, and because the worldly way is not going to work. So you got to do it God's way, or it fails every time.
And being in His presence, you talk about reading the Word of God. Is it part of going fellowshipping with churches and different things? What else does it? What else? How else do you get this? Because a lot of men are intimidated in going to church.
Right.
So what else? How do you get to this presence of God?
You fellowship with other married couples. People who are Christian, who are doing things right. No fellowship with the guy who's beating up his wife. Who's beating them both, physically or mentally. You got to go with Christian couples who are trying to better their marriage as well. If you're looking for somebody whose marriage is actually, I like to look for people whose marriage is better than mine.
That's
so right. I can aspire to be better in my marriage. Because even after 25 years, I'm still learning. I go through things every day that I'm still learning. About my wife and my wife about me.
And I know for us, and we talked about this a few times. We really cherish the couples that we tend to go around and be around. We purpose to fellowship. We purpose to create times together. If it's evenings or we take weekends and we fellowship, and we bring couples together, even if it's not part of the ministry. We go out on dinner dates and different things like that, so that we surround ourselves. I know when we just got married, it was about surrounding ourselves with other couples because we didn't know how to do this. Right. And I think that's the important thing. If you don't know how to do something, why not look to see who does know how to do it? Why not find, number one, God, get in His presence and let Him show you? But God is so wonderful. He'll also bring others to be an example of what a good marriage is. I know that's how we began to learn on, even aspire to have a good marriage, because we saw others and we purpose to put ourselves in that position. So the way you become that priest is you expose yourself to those atmospheres. You expose yourself to places where you can learn how to be a priest.
Right.
I love that. I love that part about being in His atmosphere. What else? You talk about tending the field.
Right.
Talk about that, because it's bigger than just having a job.
Right. Well, it's authority. What it turns into, you have God gave the man authority over the garden, but God, you have to look how God designed authority. He designed the whole world around the system of authority. Everyone is under somebody's authority in the world. Ultimately, all authority is delegated, and it's under God. Be it if you're the president or on your job at where you are. I know I have a direct supervisor, and she has a supervisor, and the CEO is over everybody. So no matter what sphere you're in, government, family, church, all these, um, the um, the judgment of God well, let me put it this way. The person who exercises the authority is responsible to God, and anybody who misuses it is responsible to God. He's going to sit at the judgment seat of Christ.
So in a marriage, who has the authority?
Well, God put the man in charge. And the same way Christ is the head of the church, he put the man in charge of the family.
Okay.
And we have to see what he did for the church, though, before we even try to look for the marriage. And we have, because it's a big responsibility as being the head of something.
That's right. It's not when I know when I'm in charge of something, the responsibility of everything falls under me.
Right. And even with me at work, I'm in charge of making sure all our doctors are considered providers for all the different managed care companies, so that when our clients or our patients go in to see these doctors, we can get paid from these insurance companies. If I don't do my job and have all these people credentialed, then we can't get paid.
That's right. That's right.
So,
'cause that's under your authority.
Right.
'Cause that's under your authority. So now, when we're talking about the marriage, because this is a big one, and you're saying that the husband is now the one with the authority.
Right.
Given to him by whom?
Given to him by God.
That's right.
But going back to this,